Over the weekend, the world was left utterly shocked by the Princess of Wales' cancer diagnosis. In that amazingly brave personal message to the public, she ended months of speculation about her health and intrusion into her family's privacy.
Well, Kate's revelation marks an unprecedented openness about the health of our most senior royals, with both the King and the future Queen suffering with the disease. But it comes alongside a strong request for privacy from the Princess, not least for the sake of her young family. Well, joining us now is talkTV Royal Editor Sarah Hewson. Sarah, good morning. There's been an awful lot of pressure on the royals in recent months, but do you think that this personal public address from Catherine on Friday will quash that?
I certainly think there is a huge amount of admiration and respect for the Princess of Wales now. She has set out exactly what she's been going through over the course of the past few months. She's set out why she's needed time, why they haven't talked about it before in the strongest of terms, as in, I needed to tell my children first. And who can argue with that? And I think we had a message over the weekend again from them saying that they're very grateful and very moved by the messages of support they've had from members of the public and thanking them for appreciating their need for privacy. So again, a reminder, look, there's a lot of interest in this, but don't forget, they need to go away now. She needs to heal.
And is she really appealing to the public in that sense when they've made calls for privacy? Because essentially there's not much that the public can do to infringe on the royal family's privacy, aside from maybe film them at, you know, the farm shop in Windsor.
They're talking about the online.
Well, I think that's one of the key points, though, because what we're told by Kensington Palace is that although she's not going to be on public duties, she does want to get on with her normal life. Yeah. She does want to be around with her children. She does want to be able to pop to the farm shop if she wants to. And I think they want to be left alone in peace to be able to do that. As actually generally before they were. They have gone to Norfolk. They've gone to their home. It's a, you know, a real retreat for them in nature, away from everything else. And I think, hopefully, the public will respect that. But as for social media, I mean, that's a whole different point.
Well, listen, you know this. I'm not just saying it. The kids go to the school that my kids went to, and that's all I could think about on Friday. It was one of those moments. I spoke to Nick about it. It's like, where were you when you heard that? I was so... Look, if we're being completely honest, and that's how this show should be, warts and all, the Photoshop thing was obviously an attempt to push everything's fine. It backfired spectacularly, but I don't care.
Doesn't it look inconsequential now
I don't care
light
about
of
that.
this? Yeah.
Those vile human... What's that bloke called? Owen, what's he called?
I'm not sure.
Owen Jones. All these people that are now rowing back on the things that... Disgusting conspiracy theories. We have a woman, right,
I don't think Owen Jones pushed any conspiracy theories, just to say that.
No,
I just think he showed an interest in where Kate was.
But he was pretty disgusting, and so were other people. And my point is this. I just think we have a woman in her 30s with 3 kids who has had to come out and say, I've got cancer. Enough is enough. We're still reading this morning. You were telling me this. There's people saying it's AI. Seriously, these people are a disgrace.
And actually, Whitehall now looking into whether... I mean, you were talking about China Hat.
Yes.
Whitehall now looking into whether these are coordinated attacks from Russia, from China, Iran, because, Nicola, you talked about this with me last week. If you sow the seeds of discontent and you destabilise, and that is exactly what this has been all about, these conspiracy theories. Yes, there are individuals who've been peddling them, but actually there are kind of greater, darker forces
the algorithm and all that.
And I think the one thing we can all do now is not engage with them. Because the less we engage with them, the less traction they have and the less we feed that algorithm.
I thought Nick made a really good point earlier when she said one of the nicest things that's come out of this, it's a great picture on the front of the Mail this morning, is the obvious close relationship between Charles and Catherine. There was the thought of him toddling down the corridor.
She's not just his son's wife.
No, I agree.
No, very much. She's a daughter they never had. We knew there was a close relationship. We knew he admired her hugely for the way she's brought up his grandchildren, for the way she's grown into the role. You know, she's not born into this. But then when you hear about him toddling was the word used, in his dressing gown down the corridor of the London clinic. The two of them both in hospital.
The ones that are open at the back.
I'm sure he was wearing
I know he was, but it's just the
thought. But to go and sit at his daughter-in-law's bedside, and then a private lunch at Windsor Castle last week between the two of them, the day before her message was released. Both of them, of course, have a shared experience that neither of them could have predicted, neither of them want, but I think they will be a huge support to each other and that bond really being cemented.
And it's not for any of us to speculate, but I said this twice already this morning, only because I had cancer 12 years ago. What is it?
Preemptive.
Preemptive chemotherapy is before it's gone through the lymph glands, and that's why lymph nodes, and that's why she was very positive in her message. I suspect there was an operation, they found some cells, they're doing chemotherapy to make sure it hasn't spread or it doesn't spread further. It's a positive-ish diagnosis. Horrible to hear, but I got the distinct feeling that it was all right.
Well, also, she has age on her side. She's otherwise young, fit, healthy. And I think you could see from that message, she also wants to maintain a positive mental attitude. She talked about healing her body, her mind and her spirits as well. And so I think keeping that positivity is vitally important for her, but also for the children.
And for the monarchy, because I think she's their diamond, don't you?
Absolutely. You know, we've got the two stars of the show, the
Yeah.
King and Kate, who are
Apparently
both
he's getting frustrated. He wants to be
at
at Royal Ascot this summer in the garden parties.
Yes,
He wants to go back to work.
He's got plans to go back to.
He has, and we might even see him sooner. We might see him leading the family on Easter Sunday into church. Peter Phillips, his nephew, has spoken. He's given an interview and he said he's really frustrated. He's pushing his aides. He wants to get back to work. He's frustrated that his recovery is taking a little longer than he might have anticipated. Of course, he thought he was going in for prostate surgery and he'd be back in a few weeks. Didn't know at the time that he had cancer too. We might see him at Royal Ascot. We might see him at the garden parties. As the weather gets better, of course, it's much easier to mingle with members of the public outdoors when you're also trying to protect your immune system.
Do you think, just very quickly, just off the top of my head, we've always talked about the monarchy in the past and the Queen, you know, never complain, never explain. The openness with which he talked about his cancer and then she was forced to, notwithstanding the children. Do you think that it will mean that the monarchy continues to be more open, or do you feel that they have had their fingers somewhat burnt over the last few months?
I think that Catherine was encouraged by the positive reaction to the King's openness. And she always wanted to talk about it, but the timing had to be right. And, you know, as we know, it was all about when they could tell the children, how they could protect the children. And they've done it when the children aren't going into school, when there's no playground gossip, when they're not being asked questions that they can't answer, and when actually they can all just hunker down together, really, and make sure that they give the children the best support they can.
That's what it is, it's our family, isn't it?
Yeah, think about what they've been through, you know, to find out their granddad has been diagnosed with cancer and then, you know, their mum not being very well. And then, you know, although people weren't talking about her cancer diagnosis at school, people, I'm sure, would have been asking them, where's your mum?
Yeah.
You know?
Oh, without any shadow of a doubt. Kids are...
And particularly, you know, I mean, Louis very young still, he's not yet 6. But for George, he's 10 years old, you know, children are aware and questions are being asked. I think their local areas, their local neighbourhoods, their schools, etc., are very protective of them. They want them to be a part of those communities. They want them to fit in. They don't want to expose them to that. And so I think that will have helped massively.
And how awful, sorry, I've just remembered, her uncle amidst all of this. I mean, not necessarily knowing what was wrong with her, but still going on Celebrity Big Brother.
Worse than that, pulled out.
He pulled out of the final on Friday night.
Realised he'd done an article, Nick, that went in the Fabulous magazine or whatever it is, and I could be getting that wrong, one of these big Sunday magazines, and he was talking all about it and was mortified because he couldn't stop it.
Yeah, because the interview and the shoot had been done a couple of weeks earlier. It was in one of the weekend magazines. He has apologised for the poor timing of that and said he didn't know, of course, at the time.
You look absolutely exhausted. You've been working...
You look fresh as a daisy.
Hold on, I've spent hours in makeup.
No, you've been working non-stop, haven't you? Since Thursday, I saw you in Australia and all over the place.
This is a huge, huge story all around the world. I mean, we've had the White House responding, Bruce Springsteen on stage in Las Vegas, Gwyneth Paltrow responding, all over the world. And I think it just shows how much love there is for the Princess of Wales. That
are you surprised by the depth of love?
I mean,
internationally, really?
Internationally, I mean, I think, you know, as I said, described her as the star of the show. She is. She and William really are. And she's the most trusted member of the royal family in this country. And I think after the King's diagnosis and then this, for someone so young
as well,
it really has sent shockwaves everywhere.
You look amazing. Don't take what I say the wrong way, but I know how hard you've been working. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
Yummy, mummy.